Dear colleagues, greetings from Ramanujan College. My topic of discussion today for you is Technology and Human Rights, a case study of BT cotton in India. I consider BT cotton as a new technology and argue that introduction of BT cotton in India have evoked human rights issues, namely right to life, right to development, right to local knowledge, right to biosafety, right to choice of environment and food. The aim of the lecture is to establish an argument that new technologies, even though brings in benefits to the humankind, might have the potential of socio-economic, political and environmental impacts. Thus, I consider that science and technology is not neutral and has to be critically assessed by social scientists. It is generally considered in the public that social scientists does not have the expertise to comment on the technology issues. It is also observed that expressing critical opinions on science and technology is considered to be anti-science. In this lecture, I am not speaking against science, but I present my assessment on BT cotton experience in India with reference to the human rights issues. BT cotton is a genetically modified crop introduced for cultivation in the year 2002. Bacillus thuringiensis. It is a soil bacteria which is capable of producing toxins and fight against pests when introduced in the plants. It is generally considered to be non-poisonous for human consumption by the scientists across the globe. The BT is tweaked into the genetic makeup of the cotton to be called as BT cotton. It is considered to bring relief to the farmers in reducing their pesticide spray and increase the yield of crop since the BT helps in pest management. The technology is considered to be far superior to the hybridization process, which takes a lot of time to evolve a plant with a particular trait. The genetic modification is considered to be a superior technology which is not only helps to increase the yield of crops, but also can cure many of the environmental and human health issues by introducing the desired traits in the plant. The best example often quoted is the genetically modified crop called golden rice, which remedy the vitamin A deficiency in the human beings. The GM technology is also believed to be the future of agriculture, which can address the insecurity of food production and mitigate problems emerging out of global warming. The Monsanto company based in US holds the patent on BT technology, which was recently bought by Bayer Corporation. The BT was the first crop introduced in US way back in 1996, and most of the countries like Egypt, Argentina, China, Canada, Pakistan, Bangladesh and most of the African and South American countries have introduced GM crop. In India, it got introduced in 2002 by the Mahiko Monsanto collaboration, and the patent was sub-licensed by the Monsanto to the many Indian seed companies which have successfully able to produce hundreds of seed varieties. The products of biotechnology carries with it some fears about the human health and biosafety. The inconclusive arguments about the biosafety of GM crops have scaled down the trust level on technology. The negative reports which appear now and then always sustain a scope for lack of trustworthiness of the science. There is no general agreement by the scientists on the unpredictable way which might come up in bringing changes in the environment. There are lots of biosafety studies which have highlighted the unsafety for human consumption. The biosafety aspects of GM crops across the world have become so polarized since each of the stakeholders have developed their own interests to be protected. The consumers, scientists, farmers, political groups, civil society organizations have constructed their perception based on the understandings of the GM science. The science in the position now to address these layers of interest, imaginations on GM crops to propagate the real benefit of the scientific development. The fundamental skeptical attitude towards the GM crops have developed because it is a private science which does not focus on public cause. The US, who is the main propagator of the new science, treats GM crops equally with hybrid crops. It argues that the introduction of GM crops has happened more than 20 years and to date, none of the human being is affected by it. The US state argues that it does not want to wait until something unfortunate to happen. The opposition of GM crops throughout the world and in the European Union is considered by the US as more economical rather than political or scientific. The US rather propagates that GM crops as a panacea to ailing agriculture in the developing countries and a very good scientific development to be benefited by the human species. The introduction of BT cotton and the technology of GM crops in India was to address and provide solutions to the ailing agriculture. It was also the aspiration of the government that it should not lag behind any countries in adopting the new science. The Indian government also expressed that biotechnology revolution would bring in jobs to the educated youths like the information technology revolution. The biotechnology revolution assures that it is a key to the economic development, poverty alleviation and sustainable development. The dynamics of agriculture in India operates in a competitive market model. In this model, the private has acquired the capability to propagate new technologies and offer solutions to the farmers. The state has exerted some influences in regulating the propagation of new technologies by the private. The Indian agriculture operating in the market model regulated by the government has forced majority of the farmers into debt. The most important reasons for the farmers into debt is the increased cost of inputs in farming and the failure of the market to give them good profit. Apart from the above issues for a cotton farmer, weather has to favor which the farmer does not have control. Thus, the successful framing of technology itself is not the success. Its real success has to be evaluated differently, which varies country to country. The cotton crop occupies around 5% of the total area of cultivation and consumes 36 to 50% of the total pesticide applied in agriculture. The benefit of reduced spray motivates the farmers to adopt BT cotton in a major way. The BT cotton was introduced in the market as a revolutionary technology to control bollworms, which is a great threat to the crop. The bollworm, when it attacks the crop, the toxins of the BT have the capacity to destroy them. Thus, the protection is inbuilt in the crop. The BT technology assured to reduce the repeated sprays of pesticide to control the bollworms and enhance the yield of the crop. The decadal experience of BT cotton, according to the Government of India's report Cotton Status 2017, that the yield has increased to 510 kg per hectare in 2014-15 from a meager of 191 kilo lint per hectare in 2002-2003. The statistics of the report claims to have reduced the use of pesticides in BT cotton cultivation, and the decadal experience of BT cotton, according to the Government of India's report Cotton Status 2017, the yield has increased to 510 kg per hectare in 2014-15 from a meager of 191 kilo per hectare in 2002-2003. The statistics of the report claims to have reduced the use of pesticides in BT cotton cultivation after its adoption in 2002. The pesticide use in controlling bollworm from 1995 to 2004 was 6,767 million tons, and after the adoption of BT cotton, the report claims that the usage reduced to 1,089 million tons between 2005 to 2011. Rather, the use of pesticide in controlling the sucking pest from 1995 to 2004 was 3,335 million tons, and it increased to 4,600 million tons between 2005 to 2011. As a new technology, the statistics have proved to be successful with a lot of new questions to be answered. The assessment of BT technology, when done only with the yield, does not answer the social reality emerged in the process. The success of the technology does not count the financial stress a farmer would have undergone to buy the seed packet, or the kind of help he might have received from his co-farmers and laborers, or the struggle to protect the crop from the unpredictable weather, or the engagement of the family labor, or the weak financial bargaining he or she have in the society. The technology, when compared with one category of farmers, the behavior of the technology across all categories of farmers tends to miss the social existence of farmers. The reports on the total yield achieved in a year across all categories of farmers cannot be the best method to assess the yield of BT cotton, even though the statistics of the government shows that there has been a record growth in the yield. The increase in the yield and the productivity, when analyzed in detail, has revealed that the cotton cultivation has slightly shifted from rain-fed areas to the irrigated lands. The high commercial aspirations advertised during the introduction of BT cotton could be one of the important reasons for the irrigated land farmers to shift towards the cultivation of BT cotton. BT technology is one of the marvels of science and technology invention, but there were precursors to the implementation of the technology. The do's and don'ts inbuilt in the technology was not revealed in the process of implementation, which became the inputs for the debates associated with the technology. It was not made clear that the technology will perform equally well in the rain-fed as well as the irrigated lands. The yield performance of BT cotton, when assessed for the decade, proved to be high for the irrigated areas than the rain-fed cotton areas. The rain-fed areas from the largest area of cotton cultivation, where farmers believed that the technology would be neutral with irrigated and rain-fed areas. The farmers had to realize this by his own experience, which would have had costed him a lot of terms of capital, labor and various other stress. The crop required with secure irrigation, manure and vigilant pesticide spray gave the expected yield. Lack of this knowledge has made farmers to spend an unfairly large amount on pesticides, manure, etc. in the rain-fed areas. The BT cotton failure in the Vidarbha region of the Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka made the companies and the scientists to realize that the farmers have taken lot of stress without knowing this fact. The seed companies then on accepted that BT cotton can only protect against the bollworms but does not increase the yield of crop. The farmers were exorbitantly charged for the seed equal to what the American farmers paid for the seed. The Andhra Pradesh government interfered in this issue and reduced the royalty being charged in each seed packet sold in the market. The various other state governments followed suit to fix the royalty being charged by Monsanto. The Indian government have also failed to curb the illegal BT cotton seed market, which added to the stress of the farmers. The farmers were insisted to keep 20% of their cotton plantation area as refugee by the seed companies. The refugee area might be constructed across the BT cotton farm by planting non-BT seeds or other seeds which attract bollworms to contain the bollworms in the refugee area, which can prolong the resistance of bollworms to BT. The technique was least followed by the farmers due to their size of farm. The small and medium-sized farmers holding less than 2 hectares of land account to 90% of the total land holding. Thus, the farmers tend to avoid giving refugee area since it would affect them in the overall yield of the crop. The result of this witnessed bollworms acquiring fast resistance and led to a total failure of the technology. The Bombay Agriculture Commission has recently asked the companies to pay compensation of more than Rs 1,600 crores to 3.5 lakh farmers who have filed petition against the seed companies, claiming that the BT has failed to protect bollworms. Farmer suicide. The most important reason for the heated public discussions on BT cotton is the high rates of farmer suicides reported in the cotton growing belts of India. It is estimated that more than 3 lakh farmers have taken their life in the past 20 years. The increasing farmer suicide have silenced the National Crime Records Bureau not to publish the suicide numbers for the past 2 years. The increasing rate of farmer suicides coincided with the release of BT cotton in India during the decade of 2000. There were a lot of studies conducted to prove that less yield of BT cotton resulted in indebtedness of farmers and led to suicides. None of the studies were able to directly prove that yield loss was due to BT cotton and which had led to farmer suicide. The National Commission on Farmers, appointed in 2004, gave various other reasons like the lack of institutional support, lack of adequate infrastructure, unpredictable weather conditions, etc. for the farmer suicide. It claimed that the farmer suicide tragedy has several dimensions: economic distress, despair, breakdown of social and state support systems, and psychological nightmare. The International Food Policy Research Institute reported that the report rejects the presence of surge in farmer suicides in the recent years and any direct or reciprocal role of Bt cotton introduced in farmer suicides, while noting that Bt cotton may have played a role in specific cases and seasons. These cases were mainly the result of institutional, climatic and economic constraints among many other factors. The arguments bypassing the influence of Bt cotton in the farmer suicide was not well accepted by the civil society groups, but the government endorsed the argument of the NCF and various other studies which suited their convenience and which needed to subside the unrest of the farmers' suicides. The government might have been successful in subsiding the farmers' suicide debates or any farmers' unrest. The statistics of the government shows that 51.9% of the agriculture households are indebted and cost of cultivation has increased, which keeps the farmers in continuous stress. The suicide of farmers, even though cannot be generalized to the adoption of Bt cotton, but many studies have proved indirectly that the adoption of Bt cotton and the resultant impact are serious determinants of farmers' suicide. Conclusion. The general question comes to any one of you in mind is that whether I support or dismiss the adoption of Bt cotton. The answer to the doubt cannot be in yes or no. The answer to this kind of questions cannot be in binaries. There has to be correct questions to be asked in many places. What was the need to introduce the technology? Why was it introduced? Who were in alliance for the introduction of this technology? Why did such kind of instances happen in the process of Bt cotton cultivation? Thus, too many questions were to be asked at various levels of the process in this technology or for any new technology. I personally feel that the Bt technology is one of the superior technology of the modern science, but have failed to have gone through the expected standard procedures. After so much effort of analysis, the individual tends to take a stand that new technologies carries with itself good and bad things. The bad things have to be improved upon or to be left behind or to make best use of the technology. This is how the technologies have never been rejected. It has been made to accommodate in our lives. It would be best if technologies are offered by the local knowledge and suits the Indian conditions. Thank you.